You're listening to Packers Talk Network.
You're listening to No Huddle Radio on the Packers Talk Radio Network, your home for in-depth and thoughtful Packers analysis. I'm your host, Gil Martin. My co-host is my good friend, Sean Tian. In addition to this show, I write for the PackersPost.com and Cheesehead TV. And Sean was a TV sportscaster in Minnesota. We're here to talk Packers because you're all here for one thing, and that's a love for Green Bay football. Happy bye week, Sean.
Happy bye week indeed, Gil. It's time to regroup, not just for the Packers, but for us. I think we all kind of needed after that tie on Sunday in Dallas, a very frustrating tie, a game that probably should have been won, but also easily could have been lost. But the Packers, they return home after this weekend, and theticketking.com, Wisconsin's own Ticket King, they can help you get you to Lambeau Field. Our show is sponsored by Wisconsin's own Ticket King. For more than 30 years, they've been providing Packers tickets to Packer fans as well as Bucks, Brewers, Summerfest tickets. Find them on the web at theticketking.com. Links right there on your screen. If you're watching with us on YouTube today, visit the locations in Green Bay, Milwaukee. And you can watch every episode of No Huddle Radio on Packers Talk Network on YouTube with Gil and myself. Click on the bell, turn the notifications on, join the discussion, chat with us live. We love to see and talk about the comments coming our way. And those who are joining us today, hey, kudos. We're airing a little later. We're in the middle of Thursday Night Football right now. So, hey, like if you'd rather listen to Packer Talk than watch whatever game's going on Thursday Night Football, we really appreciate it. And, Gil, there's plenty to talk about this today because the Packers need a bye week badly after kind of not really a debacle in Dallas, but a game that should have easily been won, but a lot of issues that arose from that game, a lot of stuff that was exposed. And Gil, we're going to start right away. I mean, with the Packers going into the bye week, what needs to change after the bye week?
Many things, unfortunately. I mean, honestly, this team should be 4-0 right now.
Yes, they should.
And they're not. And you know why they aren't? There's a bunch of reasons. We're going to go into a lot of them. But, you know, Matt LaFleur has that expression, all gas, no brake. I wish he'd live up to it.
I know. Yeah, it was that the clock management and the decision-making was so weird on Sunday where the first half, Matt LaFleur says, hey, we're going to be super aggressive. We're going to try to get some points right before half. Jordan Love fumbles. It wasn't even Jordan Love's fault. Just it was a really good pass rush by Dallas, and Love didn't sense the pressure coming. Guy got his paw on the ball just at the right moment, and Love fumbles the ball away, and Dallas scores a touchdown shortly after that to take a lead into the locker room at halftime. And then the end of regulation, they have an opportunity to tie or win it. They had an opportunity really to win it, but they just take their time going down the field. There's no urgency. And they settle for a tie in overtime. And then in overtime, they definitely have an opportunity to win it. And they settle for a field goal. They settle for a tie. Yeah, it's better than a loss, Gil. But that final drive in overtime, I think, is what set me over the top, where essentially just walking through it play by play, you had the ball at the Dallas 40 at the 2-minute warning. And the first play out of 2 minutes, it goes 15 yards to Dontavian Wicks to the Dallas 25. The next play was a 6-yard pass to Romeo Doubs to the Dallas 19 with just over a minute to go. You're inside the 20 with more than a minute to go, and you're down by 3. A touchdown wins. Game over. You walk off the field. The aggression then goes away. You run the ball with Emmanuel Wilson to the Dallas 12. I mean, solid play, but then you try to throw a quick pass to the flat for a quick screen to Matthew Golden. Goes backwards for a 3-yard loss. Clock keeps running. Then you hit Emmanuel Wilson in the flat for a 1-yard loss. Clock keeps running. And then you throw to the end zone where luckily the ball doesn't tip up in the air, goes straight to the ground with 1 second to go, and you settle for the tie. Gil, it's infuriating. That game should have been won. You were inside the 20 with more than a minute to go, and everyone's lollygagging the lines. Like, how do you not have that registered in your brain that, hey, we need to get to the line. We have an opportunity to win the game. Just get in the end zone, man. What are you doing? Why are you sitting and just putzing around and play and, you know, essentially just twiddling your thumbs, man? It was just infuriating.
I understand that if you are forced to kick the field goal, you don't want to leave Dallas a lot of time. I get that to a point, but your job is to get into the end zone. And you had plenty of time. And the one thing you cannot do under those circumstances is throw a short pass for a loss twice and let the clock keep running and not run up to the line of scrimmage and have a sense of urgency. It was absolutely just a cluster, the way they handled the clock and the play calls and the lack of aggression and the lack of urgency. It just wasn't good. And you know what? The thing that bothers me more than anything is that, Sean, this is not the first time we've talked about this being
I know.
Matt LaFleur coached team, and it's got to change because you go up against the Phillies and the LA Rams and the better teams in the NFC, the Detroits, you're going to have close games. And these kind of mistakes is what costs you wins in important games, in playoff games, hopefully that we get there. But, you can't go up against elite teams and consistently beat them playing like this. We saw how badly it hurt the Packers last year against elite teams. They were 0-6? You can't do that again. If you really are serious about being a Super Bowl contender, look at what the Lions do. They never take their foot off the gas. If they're going to score 50, they're going to score 50, and it's up to you to stop it. And I'm not saying I think that's, the best thing in the world sometimes, but generally speaking, you got to do what you got to do. And in this case, the game is there for the taking. Take it.
It was coaching scared. It was coaching scared. It was coaching. It wasn't coaching to win the game. It was coaching not to lose. And when you coach not to lose, essentially it's prevent defense prevents you from winning. That's kind of the idea of it, where you're coaching not to lose. You're probably not going to win. And that's essentially what happened. The Packers could have easily won the game. They could have easily lost that game too. But the thing is also, Jordan Love was cooking. He was great. He was great on Sunday, minus the one fumble. He's mostly been great the entire season. He's been awesome, and we're going to talk about him a little later in this episode. But he was cooking. The offensive line settled in really nicely in the second half. They finally had some. You saw when an offensive line has continuity together, when guys aren't rotating in and out, when you're not dealing with injuries at the start of the game or midway through the game. The starting five, they were down to their last, essentially, best five available, and they settled in very nicely in that second half. The run game, you saw life there. The passing game, the protection was really good. And I just don't understand where it's like, just keep letting Love throw the ball down the field. Again, it's like you were at the Dallas 12 with under a minute to go. Like, just throw, man. Let Love give Love a play, give Love a pass play, and trust him to make the decision, because he was going to win you that game. Heck, he almost even won the game. He was so close to getting Matthew Golden on that final play right before the field goal. Jack Sanborn was just in the right place at the right time, because Love, essentially, you saw that throw where you're thinking, like, why is he throwing there? It's like Jack Sanborn's back was towards Jordan Love, but he stepped right in front of the pass at the right time. That's a lesson learned from Aaron Rodgers. It's like, defender's back is at you. Throw at the receiver because they can't see it. And Jordan Love made a great throw. I think Jack Sanborn just stepped in front at the exact right moment, luckily.
Well, or unluckily, depending on how you look at it.
Packers, but luckily for Dallas, because that was a walk-off touchdown waiting to happen.
It was, and it's just very, very frustrating. And then don't even get me started on special teams. Do not get me started on special teams.
Well, we're going to talk about it, Gil. We are. Because that special teams is the reason why the Packers are now 4-0, why they're 2-1-1. It's just the blocked extra point in Dallas where you're up 13-0. It looks like you're going to steamroll these guys. And then they block an extra point because Luke Musgrave can't hold his block on the right side. And it looked like it was almost going to happen on the first extra point in that game too, where they break through. Dallas returns it for a 2-point conversion, and that's how and essentially that was all the momentum. That started all the momentum for Dallas, and it broke the game wide open for the Cowboys. This was going to be a slaughter until that play.
It was, and it was just unbelievable because, look, you had a kick block just a week ago. This is something you've got to clean up.
Yeah.
And they didn't. And like,
it's not on the snapper, it's not on the holder, it's not on the kicker, it's on the blocking scheme.
It is on the blocking scheme, and it was just so frustrating to watch them. And you know, okay, not only was it blocked, it's returned for 2 points, and then that's 16 unanswered points before the half for Dallas, and you go from easily being up 14-0 if you make the extra point to being behind 16-13, and the momentum, the air just left the sideline. It was just out of the building. Dallas all of a sudden believed in themselves. They were confident, and they more or less carried the play from that blocked kick till halftime.
I don't know what it is with special teams in Green Bay, man. Like, we just can't have a good special teams unit ever. We have a good kicker. We have a good punter. I think we have a good holder, long snapper. We have a long snapper who has improved every year he has been here. He got a new contract for a good reason. Those areas are set. It comes down to coaching, and I'm not a guy that's like, oh, fire everybody after a tie or a loss or anything like that. But man, I'm done with Rich Bisaccia. I don't know about you, Gil, but I'm ready to move on because it's clearly not working, and it's clearly the coaching is clearly a problem in special teams.
And I'll take it a step further. The Packers organization, the front office, has bent over backwards to give Rich Bisaccia everything he wanted.
Yep.
They've given him input into draft picks. They've brought in special teams aces every year. Keyshawn Nixon is here, and then maybe that's the only good acquisition because of Rich Bisaccia. Zane Anderson is here because of Rich Bisaccia. Anders Carlson was drafted because of Rich Bisaccia. Jonathan Ford was drafted because of Rich Bisaccia. He had a lot of input, and special teams, the penalties, the sloppiness, how many bad decisions can return specialists make? When to field the ball, when to fair catch the ball, how to doing a 180 while you're trying to avoid someone and just getting wiped out. My heart was in my throat when Golden got hit like that. It was just unacceptable. You've got to coach these guys better, and watching them make the same mental errors week after week, year after year after year, it just gets to the point where something's got to change. And like you said, it's not the kicker, it's not the punter, it's not the long snapper, it's the coaching.
Yeah, it's bad blocking schemes, it's bad design returns, it's whatever it is, it's just not. Yeah, it's clearly not working, and it's just, you hold your breath every time special teams is out there. There's a special teams unit out there. I mean, at the end of regulation, I was so annoyed when they decided to run the ball when you're inside the 40, and LaFleur's just saying like, oh yeah, we'll just settle for a 50-yard field goal. It's like, yeah, that's nothing really in today's NFL. But with this special teams unit, yeah, that's a chore because you can't trust these guys to block on a long field goal time. Now, fortunately, the blocking got tidied up by that time, and Brandon McManus smoked it right down the middle, to force overtime. McManus was great. He's a great kicker. He's been overall a really, really damn good kicker since the Packers got him last year. A heck of an upgrade from Braden Arvison for sure, but I just don't trust the special teams at all. And I'm at the point too where it's like, hey, if it's 4th and short for the Packers offense, 4th within 5 yards, just freaking leave the offense out there at this point. I do not want to, as much as I love Daniel Whelan as a punter, I think he's one of the best punters in football. I don't trust that he's going to be able to get the punt off because the scheme is always so freaking bad.
And just to take it a step further, to paraphrase Vince Lombardi, coaching is teaching. And whatever it is, whether Rich Bisaccia isn't teaching it well or the guys just aren't getting the message, it's not working. It's just not working.
Matthew Tan chiming in the chat real quick saying, can we fix our offensive line? I have a feeling we're going to have to play next man up. Matthew, I'm going to say the offensive line, they settled in very nicely. If you just joined in, thanks for joining in. But they settled in very nicely in that second half. I don't have an issue with the offensive line right now. They were down 3 guys, and they were down to lineman essentially number 8 on the depth chart. And they actually played pretty darn well, in my opinion. The offense put up 40 points. The offense really was not the problem. It's just the conservative nature and the coaching and the decision-making and the clock management was what really ruffled mine and Gil's feathers for sure. And then one more thing real quick, Gil. We got to mention the defense because they've been balling out. They balled out the first 3 games. They balled out the first quarter and a half in Dallas. And then the train came off the tracks. They went off the rails. It just didn't seem like Jeff Hafley adjusted well. I think Dak Prescott played an incredible game. because Micah Parsons was so close multiple times sacking Dak Prescott, but it just seemed like there was miscommunication between the defensive line and the back end of the defense. Corners seemed to be sagging off way too much. When Devontae Wyatt left the game with a knee injury, and now he's week to week, unfortunately, that's when it seemed to come unraveled. That's a bit of an issue where we talked about before the season when the Kenny Clark trade happened, where it's like, oh boy, like you lose a guy like Devontae Wyatt, your defensive tackle position is going to hurt. And I feel like that definitely hurt the Packers on Sunday.
Yeah, I think it did. And, I am a big Jeff Hafley fan. And one of the things we talked about on this show is one thing Hafley did that his predecessor didn't do was make in-game adjustments. He didn't do a good job of it against Dallas. And that was disappointing to me because he didn't send more than 4 guys very often. I think they blitzed sent more than 4 guys 2 or 3 plays the entire game. They had to do, when Prescott is playing that well, you've got to do something to take him off his game. And they just haven't done, they didn't do it. And it was very, very frustrating to watch him. Look, sometimes the opposing quarterback has a great game. You tip your hat and you just say, okay. But I want to see an effort to try to derail that momentum and get him off his game. And I just didn't see enough of it.
I think a big thing that I was upset with on Hafley's end was our pass rush. Micah Parsons seemed to be a step or 2 away. There are times where I'm sitting on the couch. I'm like, oh, he was almost there. Like he nearly got to Prescott right there. Like he was very close. But the corners aren't playing up. Why wasn't there communication where it's like, hey, we are close, guys. Like corners play a little press coverage, and they weren't, and they were just giving everything to Dallas in front. But the thing is, the player issue was there were a lot of missed tackles. Edgerrin Cooper did not have a good game. Quay Walker was okay, but there were a lot of missed tackles in that game where plays that should have went for maybe 1-2 yards at most were going for 5, 6, 7 yards. And essentially, the Cowboys did a good job staying ahead of the sticks. I think Brian Schottenheimer called a very, very good game on offense, too. But you know what? This is the Packers defense. I'm going to cut Hafley some slack because their defense has been so good and the defense has been so locked in. I just hope that essentially the Packers can respond from this. And I feel like this is something where after the bye week, they're going to come out and they're going to get back to what we've been seeing most of the season outside the Dallas game.
I hope so, and I think they will. And another question here from Matthew. When can we see Matthew Golden's explosive game anytime soon? A breakout game.
I'm hoping for that. I'm hoping for that, man. He's on Matthew Golden's on my fantasy team. I'm hoping for that. He is. I'm telling you, like Matthew, he's on my fantasy team because he is so close. Like Gil was saying,
he a slightly overthrown pass here. It's been so going out of bounds on that potential 96-yard touchdown. There have been so many plays where he's so close, and when he stops making some of those rookie mistakes and he gets a little more of his timing down with Jordan Love, I think we will see that breakout game. But Matthew, keep this in mind. I still don't think this year that the Packers will have one go-to receiver. I think it's going to be receiver by committee, depending on the game, depending on the matchup. We've seen Romeo Doubs have big games, Tucker Kraft have big games. Matthew Golden, I think, will have some big games, but I think they are going to be spreading that ball around. And I don't think we're going to see like a Devontae Adams where one guy has 110 catches and the next highest guy has 50.
I will say though with Matthew Golden, we're only a quarter of the season into the 2025 season, only 4 games into Matthew Golden's career. I feel like Matthew Golden though is more ahead than most of the rookie receivers that we've seen in Green Bay in quite some time. I really do, and that's saying something, man. Like that, there's been a lot of talent that has walked through those doors at Lambeau Field at 1265 Lombardi, and Matthew Golden they're essentially, you could tell, I feel like they're putting more on his plate every week. He had a big catch on 4th down and overtime to keep that drive alive, to keep that game time drive alive. And it was huge. And it was a tough throw. Like it was a good throw by Love, but he put it in a spot where he had to put it. And Matthew Golden's hands were really good. And even Love having confidence in a rookie wide receiver in that spotlight, he was the primary read, it looked like, on that play too. Matt LaFleur also trusted his rookie wide receiver. The opportunities they're gonna start to grow for sure. It's only gonna blossom more and more. Matthew Golden's well on his way to being a really, really good player for this offense.
And I can't wait, and it may be a little while, but I can't wait to see Christian Watson and Matthew Golden on the field at the same time.
Hey, he's eligible to return after the bye week. Same with Marshawn Lloyd. There's a lot of guys who could be coming back sooner rather than later. Some nice reinforcements on the way. But Gil, obviously bye week time, so we got to give some bye week grades. Last year we had the luxury of having a later bye week, whereas essentially right at the midway point of the season. So we had some decent grades and we had some decent stuff to think about and analyze. But overall for the offense, Gil, what's your grade right now for the offense 4 games into the season?
I gave the offense a B-. Just a little too much inconsistency to go higher. What they did against Dallas, you look at the numbers, they were great. And then you look at the end of the game and you're like, could have been better. I just need a little more consistency to raise it above a B-.
And I will mention some numbers real quick. I should have done this going into this discussion, but offensively right now, 4 games into the year, Packers are 11th overall in total offense, 8th in passing offense, 14th in rushing offense. The rushing game got going a little bit on Sunday, 9th in scoring. They are also 4th in passing yards per attempt, tied for 25th in rushing yards per carry, which that's definitely got to improve. But they are the best team on third down in the NFL this year. I mean, they were 11-15, 10 of 14 on third down on Sunday in Dallas. They have been terrific, extending drives in critical moments. In my opinion, Gil, games 1 and 2 were really solid. Game 3 obviously was putrid in Cleveland. Dallas was a bad defense that they played very well against, which they had to. I gave the offense a B so far 4 weeks in, but the thing is, I think there's room to grow too, where it's like the offensive line has been fully healthy. The receivers are good. The receiver room has been a little bit banged up too. They were obviously dealing with Jordan Love's thumb injury throughout training camp. So there was limited time and limited repetition in camp. And you could start to see them getting in a groove and getting in the swing of things. But I like the direction the offense is heading. Gil, give us our grade for the defense so far 4 games in, because we both matched here.
We did. And look, I think it's been solid, but the Dallas game brings it down a little bit. So I went with a B+.
And I went with a B+ as well. And real quick, I'm just going to rattle off some numbers too. Packers are the 8th overall defense right now, 16th in passing defense, tied for 2nd in rushing defense, 13th in scoring, and tied for 7th in sacks. Opponents against the Packers defense, opposing quarterbacks only averaging 5.6 yards per pass attempt. That's tied for 3rd in the league. 89.8 pass rating. That's 15th. 68.2 completion percentage against the Packers. That's 24th. But the opposing ball carriers, 3.6 yards per carry. That's tied for 4th in the NFL. And then opposing offenses, only 32.7% on third down. That's tied for 3rd best. So that's the thing is, Gil, third down on offense, the Packers are extending drives. They're down defense. They're getting stuff done, and they're shutting down opponents, which is really positive.
It is. And, like I said, this team should be 4-0, and yet they're 2-1-1. And, to me, that raises the ultimate question. As of right now, do you think this is a Super Bowl contending team?
And that is, I just think it's too early to tell. The Philadelphia Eagles last year, remember, they pummeled the two-time defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. They started 2-2 in the first 4 games.
Did.
People were calling for Nick Sirianni to get fired. Kind of like how people are really heated with Matt LaFleur right now and Rich Bisaccia. We're 1 month into the season. There's a lot to go. I don't think you should count them out of the Super Bowl running. I think if the offense, if they could continue what essentially they did on Sunday and the defense gets back to what we've seen them capable of being, yeah, this is a Super Bowl team. This is a Super Bowl contending team for sure. But the big thing is they got to do it on the road. They got to do it away from Lambeau. I want to see them be consistent away from Lambeau. And
the other thing in my mind, they can't keep beating themselves. You cannot both have to beat yourself and the other team. That may work against, also Rams. But look, we saw them lose to Cleveland when they couldn't get out of their own way. So no team in this league is so good that they can play terribly and win all the time. They can't keep making the mistakes that set them back and hurt them so much.
The most mistakes that have occurred obviously have been on special teams. Gil, we obviously ranted a bunch about the special teams, how how just poor it has been 4 games in. It's just a consistent theme every year when you're a Packer fan is just seeing bad special teams. What's your grade real quick for special teams at the bye week?
D+, and I'm kind of in a good mood by saying that.
You're more bullish than I am. I gave him a D. It's it's bad, folks. Like it's bad, and I just don't see it getting better, plain and simple. And we ranted about it. We don't need to talk about special teams again.
I don't think we want to talk about special teams again.
No. And even this, we're going to give a couple bye week awards. Special teams doesn't get an award because that's how bad it's been. Gil, best offensive player so far at the bye week.
Jordan Love. No question about it in my mind.
Oh, yeah. And I'm with you there, too. Love's on pace right now this season for 33 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He's just been so good overall the first 4 games of the season. Really, outside of one bad throw at Cleveland, where it was actually a really good read by the defense. If you really looked at that play, he's been great. He's 5th in the NFL in passing yards. He's tied for 3rd in passing touchdowns. He's one of 6 quarterbacks with at least 100 passing attempts this season with 1 or fewer interceptions thrown. He's averaging that 8.3 yards per pass attempt. That's 4th in the league. He's 8th in completion percentage, 3rd in passer rating. Let Jordan Love cook, man. And hey, you got to think he's definitely healthy this year, right?
Yeah. Except for the left-handed thumb, yeah.
But he just looks healthier. He had that knee injury in game 1 in Brazil last year. He clearly looks like he's healthy.
And it's good to see. And it looks like he's taken a step forward. So I'm very happy about that.
Gil, best defensive player.
Got to go with Micah Parsons. Don't know who else you can go with. The ripple effect of what his presence and his strong play has made is fantastic. And I like his accountability and his leadership as well.
Rashawn Gary would be up there for me because he is the sack leader, but it's because of Micah Parsons. And I do appreciate where he talked to the media. He faced the music after that tie in Dallas and essentially said, hey, that's bull crap what we did on defense tonight. And I love hearing that. I love hearing that. You know that's going to get that defense going. That's a defense that got embarrassed essentially on Sunday night. But 2.5 sacks this season. Numerous pressures, like you said, the ripple effect that he has had on this defense. The Packers traded a lot for him for a reason. He's a big reason why they've been so special this season. He opens up everything. So, yeah, he's easily the best defensive player in my opinion too, Gil.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And, Gil, as we wrap up the bye week episode of No Huddle Radio here on the Packers Talk Network, what articles do you have coming up on Packers Post and Cheesehead TV? Unfortunately, we don't get a bye week. We're busy all the time, Gil. So tell us what's going on.
Well, over at the Packers Post, I talked about the slow start for the Packers free agent class of 2025. I mean, Brian Gutekunst hit a couple of home runs last year, but slow start this year for Aaron Banks and for Nate Hobbs, although injuries obviously have played a role. And then over at Cheesehead TV, the struggles of Elton Jenkins making that move from guard to center. It's been a little disappointing. I'm a big Elton Jenkins fan. I know you are as well. But even he himself has said he's not happy with his play, and I'm cleaning up how he said it very much.
Hey, that's accountability, man. You love to hear that from your leaders. And I will say with the offensive line, with the Packers offensive line and the secondary in general, the offensive line, though, more so, just need continuity. Need the same guys to be in there for a full game to really and just get healthy. And hopefully they're doing that during the bye week. Hopefully they're getting healthier. Gil, let's wrap up with some trivia. How's that sound?
Let's do it.
Well, as we all saw what happened on the final Sunday of September, the Packers and Cowboys wrapped it up late in the night with a 40-40 tie, the first 40-40 tie in NFL history. Scoregami verified that online. It was the first tie between the Packers and Cowboys ever, and the first tie game for the Packers since the 2018 season. That was in week 2 of that year at Lambeau Field against the division rival Minnesota Vikings. Much like how Dallas first got on the board on Sunday, the Packers got on the board for the first time that Sunday afternoon in September of 2018 with a blocked kick of their own. Gil, in the 2018 tie game versus Minnesota, which Packer blocked a punt and which Packer scored off of the blocked punt?
I know who scored. I remember who scored. That was Josh Jackson.
You got that?
But who blocked it?
He had a big touchdown the week before against Chicago when Rodgers engineered that big comeback in the fourth quarter on opening night.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He had a touchdown like the back corner of the end zone. It was a really good throw by Rodgers, and it was like a 50-yard touchdown.
A 50-yard touchdown. Geronimo Allison.
Nailed it. I gave you too many hints. Yep.
You did. You did.
Yep. Geronimo Allison blocked the Vikings punt deep in their own territory. Josh Jackson then pounced on it in the end zone, gave the Packers a 7-0 lead. Again, much like the Packers special teams unit has been for a long time now, special teams that day for the Vikings was putrid. Their kicker missed every field goal attempt in that game. And Gil, who was the kicker for the Minnesota Vikings in that same game? I'm pretty sure you remember this.
Yeah, I do know who that was. That was Anders Carlson's brother, Daniel.
Nailed it. Daniel Carlson, and it's only relevant because he is the brother of former Packers kicker Anders Carlson. And Daniel Carlson, he missed a field goal early in that game. Later on, he missed a 49-yard attempt in the early stages of overtime, then finished the day and his Vikings career with a miss of 35 yards as time expired at the end of overtime to seal the deal for a tie. And Carlson was cut the very next day. He signed with the Raiders shortly after that. And then current Packers special teams coordinator Rich Bisaccia saved Daniel Carlson's career because he's still kicking for the Raiders, and he's regarded as one of the best kickers in the entire NFL today. So you thought you had he did a masterful job with the reclamation project of Daniel Carlson. You thought he could do that with Anders, but clearly that was an issue, and it's been just nothing but more so issues for the special teams unit in Green Bay under Rich Bisaccia's leadership.
Did we have to come full circle to Rich Bisaccia? Really?
You're darn right we did, Gil. You're darn right. We're going to get our point across. If you don't want us to talk about it, play better. Just do your job. Just do the basics. It's elementary. Just block. Just do the basics. Don't let the inside man rush inside. That's the biggest threat to the football. It's that basic on blocking.
Just do the thing. That's it. Just do the thing.
Yeah, it's literally that. It's like, if there's two guys on you on your outside, inside or outside, which one are you going to take? You're going to take the inside because they have the shortest ball.
Always. I know. All right. Well, that is it for today. We'll be right back here next week. Follow us on Twitter at Gil Packers and at GB Packers Sean to stay up to date on all things Packers or to ask us questions. Or you could email us at gbpackersean@gmail.com. Make sure you're subscribed to Packers Talk on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Big thanks to PackersTalk.com for powering our show, and thank you for listening. Until next time, go Pack Go!
Go Pack Go!